Look at my Star Trek toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. Today, folks, we've got an emergency episode. I can't believe we're here.
Weeks late.
For us, right on time.
Fair.
You have to calculate for our kind of time. What's up, Tux? Tux is here, excited to talk about this too.
He heard it was an emergency, and thus he is my emotional support cat currently.
Oh my goodness, what a cute cat. So today, we are going to be talking about the big news in the Star Trek toy world coming from the 2025 London Toyfare, and that is Master Replica has put out some prototypes for a 2025 Delta series figures. So we don't know a heck of a lot about this, and so we have a lot of people to thank for the information that they have been sending us, and we've been borrowing from them because we're going to put a little spin on it. But this is all coming from. Let me just say this right at the top. We've gotten great information from @DoomedHuh, Brandon Giles, JD Makes, CRM Customs, B Billions took some of these photos. We also got some photos from the Toy Boys podcast. Definitely go check out all of these people who have helped contribute on some of this information. But very, very briefly, the big news is Master Replica is going to put out a bunch of 4.5-inch figures, i.e. the Playmates scale, the famous Playmates scale, and they are going to be coming from the following series: Picard, Discovery, and Strange New World and Lower Decks. So essentially, new Trek. Contemporary Trek. We're going to get figures from those lines, and we don't have a lot of them, and we certainly don't have any in this scale. So that's
like Keith Catnip.
It is. It's very exciting, and for those of us Playmates fans, certainly if we're in the scale, maybe these things are going to fit on the Playmates shelves in the ways that the 2022-2023 Playmates line were not successful and did not get any more of. So. Lots to discuss, lots to think about.
This is in addition to the Nacelle line, which is still incoming.
That's right.
Yeah. So
that's
cool.
All right. So we should break down. And am I clipping in your ears?
No.
Okay, good. So so we should break down who has what at this particular moment that we're aware of. So Nacelle Toys has the original. Basically everything up until New Trek, but not including Kelvin. Okay. So your original series, all of your 90s TV shows, and the movies from the original cast and the next gen movies. Then Hiya Toys has the Kelvin verse. But I know that they put out a Pike, so there's some mushiness there in terms of the contemporary Trek. And so obviously Master Replica has license, at least for some of the toys, for the contemporary Trek. And so according to, I'm going to give this information as we look at them, because we're here. Chances are you've already seen some of these things. But if you haven't, let's take a look at them. And honestly, neither Mike or I have gone too far into looking at these, because we kind of want to react live for you and give you our honest opinions on how we feel. Now, before we look at them, I should be very clear that these are early proof of concepts. These are not the final versions of anything. I'm not even sure if these are even modeled after exactly what they're going to do in terms of structure. So more details coming, including the scale and the release dates. We don't have release dates yet. We don't have price points. We don't have any of that yet. We just have these early proof of concepts. So that's what we're looking at here. So let's look at our first figure, and I'll give you some more information as we get there. So here we are. We're going to get a Captain Riker from the Picard series. Really interesting. So, Mike, first reactions.
The legs are weird.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like this is a mock-up for sure. I mean, the box is somewhat convincing, but that figure is absolutely a mock, right? There's no back art. Like you mentioned, the phasers, all seems placeholder-y. I'm hoping there's some better work on the joints in the waist crotch area. I think the legs are maybe not prepped yet. I would imagine the top half is more fleshed out and sculpted than the bottom. That said, cool. I think I've been cleared for Picard. I just haven't. No, I'm not cleared for Picard.
No, you are not cleared for Picard, sir.
I've been cleared for Section 31.
You can watch Section 31, and
Yes.
and we should at some point do a quick review of Section 31. But yes, no, you are not cleared to watch Picard, so you won't really be able to know much about what's going on.
But I love me some Riker, and I'm glad to see he has aged similarly to me, and we're equally as handsome, and all has
Let me tell
panned
you,
out.
that figure has aged way better than I have.
That's if you spike his hair up a little bit and make it a little more shocking, it could be me.
A little more surprised?
Yeah. No, it looks cool. What do you think?
Well, I mean,
Looks like a linebacker.
He's not a linebacker. So go to the next. I think we have another alt picture of Riker, and see if we can get to the.
Oh, I didn't set up the shortcuts for toys. Okay, so I have to do.
Just go to the next in the slideshow.
Yeah, no, but long story short.
Oh,
Okay.
I see. So you can get a little bit of a closer view here. Well, and you know what? We are going to finish this with a conspiracy theory.
Ooh, conspiracy theory.
From our good friend JD over at JD Makes, who has done a little bit more research on our behalf, and we're just going to steal it. We stole these pictures. We're going to steal this information. But we have a conspiracy theory from JD, and we're going to get to that at the end. So stick around. Also subscribe to JD Makes. So a couple of things, and we're going to see it as we move forward. I don't know why they took these figures and the boxes they're in through the dryer before they displayed them at the London
lint, you mean?
Toyfare. You'll see as we move forward. I'm very confused by what they did to these poor figures before they.
It could. I'm just going to throw. What we live in a world where you say whatever, right? Can I wildly speculate?
I mean, I don't think that's what this episode is.
My guess, Keith, is that for this very fast prototype,
Mm-hmm.
they just 3D printed these things, probably really close to the date they walked out the door. And I believe when you 3D print, the goober gets a little wet, and perhaps it was wet goober and cat.
I mean, could very well be. As we move forward, we're gonna see that the boxes themselves that the figures are in are beat to death. And I don't. It's almost like they used a box from another figure, another toy line. It could be TSA. They shipped it FedEx ground. I don't know what happened, but we'll get there. But you can see here we have some images from the back of the box from idlehands.com, I believe. idlehandsblog.com. Definitely go check them out. And here we get a lot more information about at least what they're planning to do. First off, their prototype image...
Are you not allowed to take pictures at these events?
I don't know.
Because whenever we get these clandestine photos for these pre-looks, they're always like super low res, like they had like a secret little like button cam.
I feel like that might actually be the case. So I cannot speak to that. I will say that their prototype image for the figure there looks way better than the actual figure.
Yeah, right. The legs look normal. I'm guessing they didn't get a chance to 3D sculpt the legs, so they just...
Well... Just hold on to your... Keep your butts, folk. Keep your butts, folk, when we get to JD's conspiracy theory, which I think might have a lot of plausibility.
You do get to see the rest of the line down here, though.
Yes, I was going to get there. Very important there. So you can see that in the Picard Season 3 line... We should be getting a Picard, a Crusher, a Data, a Geordi, a Worf, a 7 of 9, a Jack Crusher, a Riker, and Troy, which is more than we're seeing there. But according to idlehandsblog.com, we should be getting all of those figures. And we also get a little bit more information on what the series are going to be on the corner of the box there, which is hard to read. But the pertinent points in that box is... The figures are going to be 4.5-inch scale, which I know there's a lot of debate out there in the toy world. Is the Playmates line, is it 4.5? Is it 4.75? Is it 5? Playmates called it 5. The figures are not quite 5. Is it 4? Who knows? I'm assuming they're going to be in that world, hopefully close enough. I know some people do not consider close enough to be good enough as we go here, but we do know it says they're supposed to get 10 points of articulation and come with accessories, aka choking hazards. So we will be able to see some of the hopefully really cool choking hazards coming up on some of the
Keep
other
this
figures.
just in.
Yes.
A bunch of actors from seasons 1 and 2 of Picard that are pissed.
Yes. Hopefully they will get to them. I think a lot of the fans kind of just want to pretend that season 1 and 2 didn't happen, but they certainly did, and they deserve figures as well.
For me, Keith,
Mhm.
no diss to Riker here, but my excitement, having only seen the first couple episodes of Picard before you told me to stop.
Mhm.
Old Worf, awesome. Kind of want to
Yep.
get Old Man Worf, looks awesome. And also, the whole point is like reassembling data, so having like assembled back to life data is probably pretty awesome, right?
I mean, yeah. And we're not, yeah, there's a lot to think there. We do not have an image of that figure though. So prepare yourself for disappointment, but prepare yourself for excitement when we hit our next figure, and that is Brad Boimler from Lower Decks. So I know that there are some other toy companies that have put out figures of Boimler, but the Lower Decks will be really fun to have.
EXO has one, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and the whole line. So
that Pog
really
is cool.
fun. What's that?
The Pog is the like stand-in Pog for choking hazard. Seems awesome.
Oh, that's not a Pog, buddy. Because Mike's not allowed to watch Lower Decks either. Sorry,
did see
because
the
we're
first
doing
few.
Deep
I did see
Space
the first
Nine,
few.
and then we're doing Voyager. There's a lot of spoilers, so Mike is not allowed to watch any
I'm not
Star Trek
committing that I'm going to stay
1998.
unsullied for all of Voyager too.
You're gonna ruin it for yourself.
Come
You're going
on,
to
man,
be
there's
sad.
so much fun stuff. I can't. That's
Which
going to
you
be
will
years
get
from
to.
now. Oh,
And you know what? You still have to be alive in years. You're going to be older. You're going to have.
I've
fewer
only
things
committed
that
to
you
Deep
can do.
Space Nine. I'm not committing to.
You're going to want to have things to
The
look
first
forward
5
to when
episodes
you're
of
too
this
old
were
to do
so
stuff.
funny. I have to continue.
They're really funny, but they're good. But they are 10 million times funnier if you know what they're referencing.
All right,
It's
give me a
all
hard
references.
stop. Give me a hard stop at somewhere. I'm going to at least finish season 1.
No! Hard stop now. For your own good.
But it's so
For you-
cool, this
I'm like
toy.
I'm like your doctor. It's for your own good. You have to take your Lipitor. You're gonna
actually.
live better.
All right.
Anyway, so let's get a closer look at Boimler in the next picture here. Because you will see that is a Tom Paris commemorative plate, which is which
sure, a
Mike
joke
doesn't-
I'll get in 6 years from now.
It's a fantastic joke, and if you watch the episode of Lower Decks before you've watched Voyager, you won't get the joke. So what's the point?
Well, the internet will tell me the joke, dude.
No! Oh, God, stay off the internet. What's wrong with you?
I live there.
The internet is a dark place that you don't want to be on unless you're watching us, obviously. But so these have the some fantastic prototype, which honestly, some of it looks like it might be just painted cardboard at this point.
Yeah,
because we're very early in the proof of concept. If the choking hazards come out anywhere near what it looks like here, I'm going to be really excited because those are really fun. Mike, don't look it up.
I'm not okay.
Don't look it up. I'm telling you.
No, the Chancellor's texting. That's important.
Okay, Chancellor Jen texts, that is 100% acceptable. She runs this company. I think what's interesting and revealing, not to spoil the spoiler alert here, or the conspiracy theory. Go back one. Let's take a look at the articulation.
I mean, the
Because
not.
the Riker one articulated an awful lot like the 2022 Playmates, and this is articulating an awful lot like the Super Sevens. So I guess I'm just gonna say it now because I'm saying it. JD's theory is that these are starting with those other lines and doing some work on it to create these prototypes. Because it feels very much like pulling from other lines, because the articulations are completely different between figures, and they are almost identical to some of the other lines. So that looks like, one of the Super Sevens. I don't know. Who knows? It's a conspiracy theory, but I would imagine, unless they're going to do different articulations for the lower decks, I don't know. We can get some more information on lower decks on our next picture, because we can see hypothetically what we're going to be getting, including most of the main cast of lower decks, including Clippy. So that's fun. So yeah, we'll see what we end up getting. But again, super excited to get some lower decks. But also, Mike, look at that box. Box has been ripped open.
Oh yeah. Well, somebody was that excited. There, the toy boys really wanted that scoop.
They just tore. But it looks like the box. I mean, but it's like distressed in a way that it wasn't just ripped open. It looks like it looks like an original box that I have on my shelves down here that have been like kicked around by your little brother since the 90s. I don't understand what's happening with these.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm judging by some other conferences I've worked in, fairs and such. These, and I can't speak specifically for the London Toyfare, but generally these are for I can't think of wholesalers, right? So like a shop goes and you look and to see it. So it's not like they're really looking for which figures. They just want to know kind of the size, the colors are going to be, so they can see how much shelving space and all that kind of stuff. So, and decide if they want to order them. So, you glean, there's a high probability that this isn't even like a mock-up, that this is just sort of rando, right? Just to kind of show something.
It definitely feels, I mean, like they say, I mean, look, it's an early proof of concept is how it is being described. And I totally get that. And I'm really excited. I really hope that it happens. Right.
So JD's conspiracy theory is basically like, hey, Keith and Mike Entertainment got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle license, and we're going to put out a line. We don't have time to mock one up or the money. So here's the old Playmates turtle in a box that Keith photoshopped, and like, this is what we're showing for now.
And I repainted it, and I added to something. Yes, I added put some clay to the side of it,
and like I used my knife and just like hacked the box to death.
And then I kicked the box across the street, and then ran it over with the FedEx truck that delivered it. It kind of looks like that. Look, I worked at FedEx Ground for a summer. You would not believe what we do to your boxes. All right, so let's move forward. And no, hey, FedEx, come for me. You're not cutting that.
No, I'm saying someone should clip that out and use it as a soundboard. Because I believe what you said is, you won't believe. Forget it. Let's move forward.
Look, I'm single. All right, I'm ready. All right, so let's move forward. No, leave it in. Yes. All right. So here is our Picard figure.
Mm-hmm. You're back to is that how bad? No way that's how bad the 2020 legs were. The 2020.
Well, we're going to compare and contrast with our last picture. We're going to keep teasing this. We're gonna JD sent me some very good reference points here. So we can see here is our Picard. You can also see they threw the box down the street as well. Clearly that's going to be a Chateau Picard bottle, as well as some pew pews, which look great.
The communicator looks cool too, or whatever the badge. I guess I'll know eventually.
Yeah, in about 5 years. So, I mean, it's hard to get a sense of the facial sculpt. You can see that it does look like an aged Picard. And so, I like the look of the coat and the jacket.
As much as I'd say there's a part of me that wants to say another Picard, right? From God, we've looked at so many. There is then, once you get enough, right? There's a portion of time where there's too many, but not so far past too many is now I need every single one.
Well, I mean, welcome to collecting.
Yeah.
You have now reached the point of because you look. I started my Playmates collection with my plan. I just want the next gen bridge cast. That's it. And then, unfortunately, I bought a collection that had like one in an alternate uniform. Oh man, I should probably get them all the ones in that uniform too, so it matches. And like, oh, there's one from Voyager. Oh, I need all the Voyagers. And then it's over. I mean, it's like crack. You really shouldn't just have a little bit.
Yeah, you really got to go for it.
Because once you get there, you're rolling. So
the fun is really in the pursuit.
Well, absolutely. And here is the back of the Picard. Again, I think their rendering here is a superior figure to which frequently happens.
Now, Keith, to the left of the box here. Mm-hmm. What is that figure we're seeing in the background?
That's Riker.
That's the Riker? But it looks less gray.
I think it's just the lighting.
Conspiracy theory.
Maybe there's a secret other figure. Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, I like the box design. Okay, so we had a problem here with our poor Spock coming up. So here is our Strange New World Spock.
Now you know who's getting excited now.
That's right. Now Mike's into that. And they clearly stuck the figure up with some that putty? Wall goo. Putty, yeah. Wall putty, and he had some trouble when they kicked Spock across the street. We're gonna see Spock had a rough morning getting to the. But honestly, I think this does show like the side of the box. I think the box design looks great.
Super cool. I like that it's a little bit more premium looking. I dig. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
give me those SNWs. When's that new season coming out, man? I like this show.
I don't know. It's coming. It's coming at some point. Hopefully soon. But it's certainly exciting to get Strange New World figures, and I think the biggest appeal of this line is that they are 4.5-inch scale, hopefully Playmate scale, and so I think hopefully if we get in Playmate scales, and we can fill in the Picard and the Spock and the contemporary Trek series that you can put on your Playmate scale shelf. That's really exciting. And can be great. It's really hard to judge on early prototypes.
This box art does feel very mass market, right? Like instead of, because you'll recall, even the last Playmates line, I rolled everywhere in the world and could barely get my hands on these things. So these definitely, go ahead.
My understanding, is that these will indeed be online only.
Oh, there you go. So
I don't think these are going to be in retail stores. I think we learned our lessons from Playmates.
Yeah.
That's not how to sell these. It's just I don't know that for sure. None of this information is confirmed.
Yeah. It's less fun for me to just get Amazon packages. I like to go get the stuff. Maybe I'm in the minority though. Clearly I am.
Well, I mean, it's fun to go into the toy store, but I just don't think that there's enough of us nerds out there who want to go to the toy store to sell this. And these aren't for kids really. So we have one more picture of Spock here where we can see so poor Ethan Peck's Spock had a rough go of it, but you can see here some of the choking hazards with the tricorder and the communicator.
Customs folks, I've got a few, and I've Keith because of diligent testing. One of my first Mike and Deglio's, Captain Mike and Deglio's, was destroyed. Thanks to CRM Customs for giving me a new one. But when it was destroyed, it looked very much like Spock's left arm there. So this is clearly just a 3D printed rendering. And its arm snapped off in the middle. I mean, I think I might actually. Do I still have the broken one?
It's a good. Well, what's interesting is something happened during the Toy Fair that caused more damage. Because go back one,
dude. If you've never loaded into a Toy Fair, I've loaded into a couple of.
So Spock did not have a broken arm in the first picture.
Yeah, this is clearly just like in transit.
Something happened, but something happened at Toy Fair to cause him to break the rest of his arm.
Yeah, it looks like it fell. Whatever. Point of the story is they only had one, right? So it's not like they've made a few prototypes. They had the one.
And it's weird since they opened all the other boxes with, I'm assuming, wearing Hulk hands. They didn't bother to open this one and stick them back up.
Well, don't know.
I don't know what is happening.
A lot of meetings are taking place and whatnot. It's not like there's somebody they have enough staff to just like diligently go in and fix everything. It's probably in the middle.
You would think they had to know this was going to. I mean, the only reason that
this
they're
clandestine buttonhole camera picture was taken not soon after. Look, this guy said person taking the photo probably is the one who knocked it over. It was like, oh, snap, go.
It's just like, oh, I knocked it over. Here, let me shake it some more. Well, okay. So the last thing is we're going to finish out JD's conspiracy theory.
All right.
So let's go to the last picture. And so here is what he wrote me. If you decide to contact Master Replicas and ask about the new figures, I need you to ask them if they got Playmates overstock and repainted them and added jackets, because I'm convinced that these are the same figure. And I think there's a lot there to lead into that idea. I think there are some differences.
Yeah, the crotchal area, like the cod piece, looks a little different.
But the articulation and the shoulder joints and the head sculpt, it's really close. It's really close. But JD did some more research, being JD. Says, so I was talking to an acquaintance of mine that used to work in marketing at Hasbro, and he said I might be onto something. So for one, Master Replicas does not make anything in-house. It's all outsourced to other companies and then gets the MR logo slapped on it. He also told me it's not unusual for companies like Hasbro and Playmates, if they are having trouble selling a line under their branding and marketing, they will manufacture them, then send them off to a second-party retailer like Master Replicas, because they can price and sell online only and save face to investors. So he actually wonders if these are exactly Playmates toys that they are going through MR, kind of like a drop shipper, getting labeled in a special way and being sold online. Just a hypothesis, but this kind of it's kind of thing companies have done in the past. Prime examples of this would be Masters of the Universe Mode 2 Classics line, which Hasbro made but sold under the brand Matty Collector. They were online only and ran from 2008 to 2020. So,
but hold on,
perhaps.
Okay, I'm hearing that, and
yeah.
But here's like my need to dig in further. If you're to believe any of the box, right, in the back,
right,
Playmates isn't making those figures. So there would be no extra inventory to drop ship, right? So you'd be only getting this first wave of 2 figures.
Well, but
unless, if Playmates had intended on making these other figures, why wouldn't they just put it under their license?
Well, I have 2 theories on this, right? So theory A is that they reworked the original, so they had 10,000 extra Rikers sitting in a warehouse.
They probably do.
All right, let's adapt these. I'm sure they do. I don't think that's actually what happened. But I think it is possible that Playmates was developing a Picard line, and that this is something Playmates had developed to release, realized that they couldn't do it that way. And so, in the same way that generics are made, right? You go and you get your generic Cheerios. A lot of times when you're buying the generic, they're still made by Nabisco. They just slap a different label on it and then sell it as a second thing. So is it possible that Playmates is still producing, or they designed it and then they send it off to a different manufacturer who manufactures them more cheaply, and then on and on. So Playmates can make some use of what they had created without having to market it and spend all the extra money. They're handing it off to somebody else to market and package and be responsible for. And so they're sub-licensing what they had done. And maybe that's what's also happening from Super 7 or something like that with the other articulation on the lower decks line. That is complete speculation. I have absolutely no information to back up any of this. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just utterly spitballing.
Well, that's the fun of this video, right? We're not claiming to be a news outlet.
Just to be fair,
yeah,
100% just lying.
If it's that if it's that latter, right? If that speculation was to come true, then obviously what's different between that truth and your Nabisco analogy is that Nabisco is continuously producing Cheerios, so they're always going to have excess, and thus that's why you're getting these cheaper generics. In this hypothesis or hypothetical, Playmates is no longer producing, right? It's only excess stock, and thus we're not really going to get anything exciting moving forward. Probably won't even see the flesh out of the line.
Well, not necessarily, because again, I don't think we are dealing with. Well, I mean, again, it's theory A, theory B. Theory A is that we're selling a warehouse full of figures they couldn't sell, right? I think this case it might be they're selling what they had prototyped and developed, but not produced because the line got canceled. But they had already produced a bunch of prototypes. We looked at some of them, right? So in their digital archive,
yeah, but didn't this show three full waves of different shows, or three full first waves of 3 different properties?
But they might be continuing to produce the digital mock-ups. They might be to prototyping and creating the figures, just not selling just then sub-licensing them out. So it's like if I write a musical and I can't get the show up, so I let somebody else produce it. I'm creating the IP, and then they produce the musical, and then I get my residuals, and I'm not having to mount the musical myself.
All right. So, what would be interesting to find out legally, I don't know if we have any way of accessing this information, is does Master Replicas have the Trek license?
I believe so. They would have to. And actually, go back to one of the back of the boxes, because I think it does say that it is digitally sculpted and approved by Paramount Global Studios. Yes, it says so, that these are digitally sculpted and approved by Paramount. So these are licensed figures.
So just like so basically me and Jill's both have a license to your have license rights to your musical. She decides not to go forward, but I do, but she already did some work. I'm basically buying some of the work from her to.
Yeah. And it's like they're in this theory.
Yes.
It's not even a theory. It's a hypothesis for you science nerds out there.
We've moved past any fact.
We're going further and further down the scientific method here. But in that case, Playmates makes a smaller percentage, but they can still make something out of creating these figures. And because Delta Series doesn't manufacture anything or create anything, they're sort of a sub-licenser. Playmates creates the figures, they manufacture it with a third company as cheaply as they can, and then Master Replica distributes them, and they all take a piece of the pie. And Paramount, of course, is the major license. They take a piece. So this is just a way to do it without the huge investment that Playmates had to do trying to get on shelves and producing 10 trillion of these things. I don't know. Maybe it would make sense to me.
So what's your excitement? What's your hype level then? All told.
I need to see the finished figures, right? And I sort of need to see what they look like. If the prototypes we've seen are like, okay, we'll see. The renderings they have on the back of the box look fantastic. I really want that. Mm-hmm. Will the reality of the thing be somewhere between the two? And if they fit on my Playmates shelves and look okay in context, then yeah, my excitement level is pretty high. Again, also depends on how much is it going to cost me to fill the shelf with these full casts of stuff. But I love that somebody's manufacturing figures in that scale. If obviously we get into licensing nightmares, right? Getting these scaled, and because with what Nacelle is doing, filling in the figures that I actually want, but not on the scale that I want. To fill it's not really filling in holes on my Playmate shelf. They don't fit on the Playmate shelf. So it's sort of complicated. There's like a lot of layers, literally a lot of moving pieces and choking hazards in this. But consider me intrigued.
I mean, you want to see the Trek license. You want to see stuff happening, right? at the mass market level. Obviously, I love the Exo stuff. I love some of the smaller stuff, but like that stuff's harder to find. It's expensive, right?
Yeah.
You want to see the masses be able to access this stuff, but
yeah, so we'll see. So thank you to everybody who reached out and sent this to me at
cool.
Star Trek Toys, at Star Trek Toys on Instagram. Look at my Star Trek Toys at gmail.com is how you contact us. And or leave a comment here below on this thing. So thanks to Doomed Hunt, Grand Giles, JD Makes, CRM Customs, B. Billiams, the Toy Boys Podcast, and all the folks who have stole their stuff to make this video. But we thank you. If you want to support our little show here,
yes, please.
You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that A-N-D. And join a bunch of fantastic people on our whole little community here. We have a lot of fun. We talk about toys. We talk about Deep Space Nine. We talk about life. Lots of fun stuff. So thank you so much to watching this. When we get new information, we'll hop right back here in your feed and give you more information. And we'll be back next week with another episode of, probably do some customs, maybe do some unboxings. Who knows? We don't know yet because we haven't shot it. Till then, this has been...
Oh. Hey.